Much like the video game industry, I've decided I want to remaster a few of my videos. And by that I mean completely reshoot them and redo them, because I feel like my editing techniques have gotten a bit better and I just want to redo this for peace of mind to me. And so if you've seen, you're looking at this saying, well, I've seen this before. You have. This is the PowerBook G3. The one that I got from Colin, aka dosdude1. Now, this little thing he gave me this for the low price of free, which was really generous of him, and I do thank him for that. It actually came with the 2015's Logic board when I got it, because he also generously donated that to me as well. Unfortunately, it ended up having an issue with batteries, so I had to send it back to him, and he fixed it right up, and he actually has a video on that. But yeah, this was a neat little side benefit to that, and yeah, as you can probably tell, because dosdude1 touched it, it's magical. So let's just give it the full hardware tour first, and then we'll get into why it's magical. And if you watch his videos, you probably already know why, even though this particular PowerBook did not appear on his channel. From the top, you can already see this thing is most definitely not collector's grade, because it's got this nice blemish up here, and that's because there was a really nice crack. I'm not sure if that was structural or if it was just cosmetic, but I did not want to take any chances, so I just took an old soldering iron and kind of melted it all back together and gave it a wet sand with really fine grit sandpaper to kind of just even it out a bit. So that's why that's there. This machine is more of a workhorse for me than a collector's item, so I'd rather it be functional than looking pretty. It's all scratched to hell, but I mean, this machine had seen some shit from the look of it. You got the soft touch kind of just wearing away up here at the top, unfortunately. And yep, I said the top. This isn't the top, obviously, because I mean, you see the big hinge up here? Upside down Apple logo. Good job, Apple. Opening it up, the display unfortunately has got some issues, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. The nice bronze keyboard, and by nice I mean nice by early 2000 standards, because this thing has more flex than a Dell Inspiron. And I mean, I'm not saying that's bad, because in that context, back then we were lucky to even have such a good laptop in such a small size, because the laptops of those times, normally for the power you got, they'd be thicker than a Buick. So yeah, this is not bad for the time, but I mean, nowadays, if you were to try to use this for, say, you know, being like George R.R. Martin, composing your novels on an old computer, I can think of better computers than this, to be honest. Trackpad's got a lot of wear, so as a keyboard, this thing has definitely got some miles on her. 2 speakers, they don't sound very good. You may think, well, you're being really superficial with those speakers, because this is the early 2000s and late 90s. And for that, I'd point you to the PowerBook 3400 and the king of PowerBook G3s and tell you that it is possible to build good speakers into a laptop at the time, because those things had 2 speakers here and then 2 more in the lid. And that thing, at least for the time I had mine, that thing sounded amazing. So, yeah, this is kind of a downgrade in the audio quality department, in my opinion. On the side, you've got another, I don't know if this is a dosdude1 upgrade or if this is something that was done before he got this machine, but somebody put an iBook optical drive in here. Or it could be from a PowerBook G4. I'm actually not 100% on that. Maybe someone will be able to tell me, but as you can see, that date is most definitely not from when this thing was current. So one of the cool things you can do with this machine is, if you look deep down in there, you can probably see the battery pins. You could run dual batteries in this thing for even more runtime, which was pretty unprecedented back then. And by unprecedented, I mean good battery life, because these laptops would, if I recall, they would run like 2 hours tops. So getting anything closer to like the 5 that we got towards the late 2000s, holy crap, dude. It's pretty revolutionary. And, you know, because of the dual battery design, if one starts to die, you switch over to the other one, pull the other one out, replace it with a fresh one, you're back in business. Around the back, now this kind of goes against all the mileage this machine has, because I know these doors, generally if the machine's abused, these are gone, but nope, this one is perfectly intact. Then on the side here, missing battery because I am evaluating rebuilding the one that it came with. PCM CIA slot. Whoop-de-frickin-do. And on the front, we got the beefy little hinge release, and bottom is really nothing to write home about. So, with that done, the whole full hardware tour, let's boot her up. So, this thing also came with one of the neater power supplies I've seen, currently foreshadowing Apple's current campus here. The yo-yo power adapter. Oh boy, this thing is just iconic. People like, when we're all like 90 years old, we are going to still talk about these things. Like, when I was your age, we had to unroll 10 miles of cord just to power up our damn PowerBooks. You kids have it so easy with your wireless power. Also need is the little tricolor, maybe? But the multicolored little power cords. It's just the standard Mickey Mouse power cord here. It's just going to look super odd if you try to use a standard one on here. But Apple did that with their power cords at the time frame, and it's pretty cool. I liked it. Gave some pretty unique personality to a part people normally don't think about. Ooh, I'm getting text messages. Ooh, this thing is not grounded, but whoop-de-doo, welcome to a house with shitty 70s wiring. Not much you can do about it. If you be real quiet right now, you can hear the envy of the modern MacBook Pro owners that they can no longer do that. Okay, I'm kidding. They actually can. They just have to enter some terminal commands. Let this thing boot into Mac OS 10. It is running 10.3, and I have not updated it because I'm a bad person. I do have the update file on the machine now because I actually had it on my NAS. And I do plan to update it. It's just one of those things where I use this machine so rarely, but its role is so essential to me that, yeah, I should really update it, but then I put it away until I forget to do it for another few months. Then, again, ergo, I'm a bad person. Alright, here we are in macOS 10.3, as I mentioned before. As you probably no doubt can tell from being in dosdude1's possession, for even a millisecond, this machine got some upgrades. Specifically, if we go to About This Mac, we can see it's running a PowerPC G4 now. And this isn't exactly an uncommon upgrade because these machines do have swappable CPU cards, and you could easily get G4 on a card back when this machine was new. Well, new-ish, I would say, because I know Sonnet and I believe Newer Tech made upgrade cards for these machines. The problem is trying to find one of those these days is just going to be a lesson in frustration, and even if you do find them on eBay, they're going to be pretty damn expensive. So what dosdude1 does is he takes the existing CPU card and he can still buy PowerPC G4s resale, not from them, right? They make them. And it's not buying these chipset in the machine works fine with the Model G4 that it uses. So it's really just the problem here is if we kind of open this up, this thing does, when you do push it a little hard, it does tend to run pretty damn hot if you reach in and feel the heat sink, which, I mean, whatever, I guess. I mean, it comes with the territory of, you know, getting a G4 upgrade. As for this machine personally, what I use it for is apparent if we go into the applications folder, and you can see I've got a copy of Toast 6, which is fully licensed. It came with this machine fully licensed, and thankfully, when I copied the applications folder out and copied it back in and just relicensed it, so it's perfectly good. I didn't have to go pirate it. Though technically, I guess you could say I did if I'm using someone else's software, but I'm pretty sure they've long since forgotten they even have it, and yeah, it works great, and that's what I need for this machine because I need a machine that can burn classic Mac OS disks, and I'm not sure how correct my explanation here is going to be, but you need a piece of software to burn classic Mac OS disks that is aware of what it's actually burning, because most burning software isn't aware. As far as I know, there may be a hidden partition on classic Mac OS disks, and if the software is not aware of that partition, it ignores it, and when the Mac goes to look for that partition when it's booting off a disk, it just won't boot at all. So that's the problem, and I know Toast, at least, knows of that partition and will burn it correctly. It's pretty much Mac OS. There's really nothing crazy about it. It's 10.3. I need to update to 10.3.9. I've already got the file there. But you may also see we have Mac OS 9 running on this thing, because this is a hybrid machine. It can run both OS 9 and OS 10. And I've kind of bucked the traditional setup, as I know the common setup for a compatibility machine is to have OS 9 installed alongside OS 10 on the same partition. But the problem with that is you have to, if you want to switch into Mac OS 9, say, we have to go to System Preferences, wait for that to fire up. We have to go to Startup Disk, and then select the disk you want to start your computer, and you have to switch OSs from here. Whereas if you have them on a separate partition like I do, say I'm just coming to this machine now and I'm like, you know, I know it's going to boot in OS 10, but I want to boot in OS 9 instead. Just hit power, hold option, pings all drives, looking for bootable devices, and there you go. You have both partitions right there, and you can choose whichever OS you want without having to boot into Mac OS 9 or Mac OS 10 first to say, hey, I want to boot into this other OS. Of course, it takes a while to actually finish scanning the drives, and then you can finally check which one you want and start booting, and then it'll boot in OS 9. It's really all there is to this machine. There's not much. These are mostly just fresh installs of Mac OS, so there's nothing really crazy on here that I can show you. I just wanted to kind of show off this PowerBook as it is and kind of just give it a little tour and kind of go back over the video that I made before, just a little better and, you know, a little more edited down, so to speak. So pretty much hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if there's anything else you want to see about this machine or want me to do with it, feel free to let me know.